So the other day I posted a video talking about 5 exercises for our neck with all of the increased screen time that people are doing and staring down at their computers while they're sitting at their couches or staring down at their phones. We're definitely getting a lot more people who are feeling their necks. So now what I wanted to do is move down the back a little bit, focus on those low backs. So the number one thing that I see when people are sitting on their couch at home, whether it's to be working on your laptop, whether it's to be watching a movie, is we sit in this kind of sacral sitting posture. So imagine that I'm sitting on my couch ends way back here, my butt is gonna end right here because I don't want my feet dangling off the ground. So what do I do to get my back on the back of the couch? Sit into the couch like this. Now this is putting a lot of pressure down on our low back, okay? All right, so when we sit like this into our couches, we have a lot of pull on that low back, a lot of pressure into our discs, okay? We're getting that rounding position, okay? As opposed to our neutral back position, which obviously our backs need to move in all positions. We want them to be able to round, we want them to be able to extend, we want them to be able to be neutral. But when we're spending all of our time in one position, the back gets comfortable there, and then when we go to try to transition it to a different position, that's when we feel pain and irritation, okay? So, if you find that you're spending a lot of time sitting, and then when you go to stand up, your back is a little bit uncomfortable, or when you go to do a workout and your back is a little bit uncomfortable or feeling tight, like you're overusing it, when we're working out, often we're extending our spine to try to set our backs. So when we're going from sitting all day in this rounded posture, and then all of a sudden we go and we do, let's say I'm standing up and I'm doing a bent over row, and I'm setting my spine's arched. So I just went from rounding it all day to arching it to get in an exercise. And holding that position is gonna be pretty uncomfortable for the back. So these are just some warm-up exercises and things that you can do to help mediate that back pain and help open up after you've spent a ton of time in a rounded position, whether that's sitting in a couch, a different desk chair than we're used to, okay? So, first exercise we're going to do, starting down on the floor, we're going to do a press up. So all that means is trying to keep the hips down on the floor beneath you, pressing up, getting a little bit of arch in that spine, and then coming down. And I only want you doing these as far as is comfortable. So if this is enough for you, then that's as far as you go, okay? If you have a little bit more extension in your spine, you can come up. The biggest thing is making sure that our hips are not coming off the ground. We're keeping our hips down. So the next exercise that I want to go through is a segmental cat-cow. So what that is our normal cat-cow, okay? But we're going to do it one segment of our spine at a time. So starting from the neck, we round all the way up, and then we start slowly arching. Good, okay. The next one that I want you guys to work on is our spine car. So I'm gonna be kneeling, you can be standing up, you can be sitting on a chair, whatever works for you. We're going to cross our arms across our chest. We're going to do a spine car. So rotating forward, rotating to one side, dipping our shoulder blades back. I'm going back in the opposite direction. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is going to be a stretch for our hip flexor. So hip flexor is another thing that kind of gets shortened when we spend a lot of time sitting down. So for our hip flexor stretch, we're gonna come up nice and tall, okay? I want you to lean into that hip a little bit. I don't want you shooting your knee forward on the other leg, because this ends up with just a ton of compensation, and we're pulling a lot of things that we don't actually want to focus on. So our hip flexor that we want to focus on is right here. So what we're going to do is be up nice and tall, okay? Back in neutral. From here, I want you to squeeze your butt, okay? So think about squeezing your glutes, and you should feel a pull all along the front of your hip flexor, okay? So from here, we're just gonna hold this position up. We're gonna hold that stretch for 15 to 30 seconds, okay? So maintaining that glute squeeze the whole time, up nice and tall. Good. Okay, and the last exercise I wanna focus on to improve this kind of low back pain or discomfort that we're feeling is our glute bridge, okay? So now, in this glute bridge, it's super important that you're really focusing on your glutes and you're not overusing that arch in the low back, okay? So what we're going to do, set up on our back first, feet and knees just kind of in a comfortable position. What I want you to do is pick up your toes so that your heels are what's driving into the ground. That's gonna help us activate our glutes and hamstrings a little bit more, okay? Next, what we're gonna do is set our core. So I want you to feel a nice core brace throughout the entire core. Then we're going to push down through the ground using those glutes and hamstrings to lift our hips up, keeping that core set nice and tight, okay? So what happens when we don't use our core, if I'm relaxed and not using my core, is I'm getting all of this motion from my back, okay? But when I set my core and really drive through my heels, I'm getting a lot more glute and hamstring activation. Coming down, barely touching the ground, keeping that core tight, driving through those heels, glutes and hamstrings squeezing at the top. Coming down, driving through those heels, core stays tight, glute and hamstrings are working.